Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the staggering journey of a kid from Argentina who was actually deemed too fragile to play, yet somehow defied every single odd to become football's greatest. We're talking about the life, the mind-boggling numbers, and the totally unmatched legacy of Lionel Messi. Let's get right into it.
To really understand where he started, we have to look at this quote from his youth coach, Adrian Correa. It perfectly sets up this ultimate underdog story. At just 12 years old, Messi faced a massive physical disadvantage. People literally looked at his size and just wrote him off. But his pure, undeniable genius on the ball, it instantly overshadowed all of that. As Correa said, he was just born different.
So, here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. We'll start with the boy from Rosario, move into the Barcelona era, climb a mountain of records, navigate through his international heartbreak and glory, and finally, look at him as the most decorated player. All right, part 1, the boy from Rosario. Let's look at his early life in Argentina.
We start in Rosario, back in 1987. Now, if you've ever watched Messi play, you absolutely know his signature celebration, right? Pointing both index fingers to the sky after scoring. But what you might not realize is the deeply personal story behind it. It's actually a heartfelt tribute to his grandmother, Celia. She was the one taking him to training, championing him when he was just starting out. She sadly passed away right before his 11th birthday. But with every single goal he scores, her memory lives on. It's pretty special. Looking at his youth progression, it's just staggering. At barely 4 years old, he joined his local club, Abandonado Grandoli. By 7, he's playing for Newell's Old Boys, part of this practically unbeatable youth squad they called the Machine of '87, where he scored close to 500 goals. Insane, right? But at age 13, everything kind of came to a halt. He needed growth hormone therapy, and his family needed a club to pay for it. His immense talent warranted a massive leap across the Atlantic to join Barcelona's famed youth academy, La Masia. And the exact moment of that transition to Europe is legendary. It was born out of sheer panic from Barcelona's side. The club's reps were so desperate to lock down this teenage prodigy before anyone else could poach him that his very first agreement with FC Barcelona was hastily scribbled on a restaurant paper napkin. Literally, a piece of restaurant trash changed the entire course of sports history. No way you can make that up.
Moving on to Section 2, the Barcelona era. 17 years of absolute glory.
So after making his first team debut at age 16 in a 2003 friendly against Porto, Messi just took over. He went on a 17-year run of pure dominance. The numbers here are just wild. 778 appearances, 672 goals, and 305 assists. He racked up a club record 34 trophies while in Catalonia. Playing under iconic managers like Pep Guardiola and Luis Enrique, he was the driving force behind their first Spanish treble in the 2008-09 season, and then, incredibly, helped them pull off a historic second treble in 2014-15. He didn't just play for Barcelona, he literally came to define them.
Which brings us to Section 3, a mountain of records, unprecedented milestones.
91. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how many goals he scored in a single calendar year back in 2012. Whenever we talk about the limits of human potential in sports, this is one of those metrics that simply detaches from reality. To sustain that insane level of output over 12 straight months, it's an absolute absurdity. It clearly marks his absolute physical and technical peak. Just to give you some context on why that's so unbelievable, for 40 years, the legendary German striker Gerd Müller held the calendar year scoring record with 85 goals, which he set way back in 1972. Pretty much everyone thought it would stand forever. Messi didn't just edge past it, he totally shattered it, setting the new bar at a seemingly untouchable 91. And he didn't stop there. He also set his sights on club loyalty records. Surpassing the great Pele's iconic 643 goals for Santos, Messi ultimately reached 672 goals for FC Barcelona. That cemented his status as the highest goal scorer for a single club in the entire history of football. His individual dominance is just as crazy. We're talking 6 European golden shoes and a dizzying 36 hat tricks in the Liga. But the absolute crown jewel? His 8 Ballon d'Or awards. Think about that for a second. In 8 separate years, he was voted the single best player on the entire planet. For most elite players, winning just 1 is the crowning achievement of a lifetime. Winning 8? That's just unparalleled. All right, Section 4,
international heartbreaking glory looking at his time with the Argentina national team.
Now, it wasn't always smooth sailing. Between 2014 and 2016, Messi suffered the pure agony of 3 consecutive lost finals, including, of course, a World Cup final. The sheer weight of an entire nation's expectations led to a brief, emotionally exhausted international retirement in 2016. But he came back, and wow, did that persistence pay off. In 2021, he led Argentina to the Copa America, breaking a brutal 28-year trophy drought for the country. Then came the absolute pinnacle, winning the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, ending a 36-year wait. And just to prove it was absolutely no fluke, he guided them to a Copa America repeat in 2024.
His international career is truly bookended by gold. Starting with an Olympic gold medal way back in 2008, he eventually evolved into Argentina's most capped player and all-time leading scorer. Looking globally across his whole senior career, he's amassed over 910 goals and actually holds the record for the most assists in international football history. He's the ultimate all-time leader, proving for sure that he's just as much a creator as he is a finisher.
Which leads us to our final section, Section 5, the most decorated player, his twilight victory lap. So, back in 2021, severe financial issues at Barcelona forced a tearful and honestly shocking exit. But his winning habit definitely didn't stay in Spain. He proved to the whole world he wasn't just a product of the Barcelona system. His genius translates literally anywhere. With Paris Saint-Germain, he casually secured 2 consecutive League One titles. Then, he moved across the globe to the US, joining Inter Miami, and his impact there was immediate. He brought home the 2025 MLS Cup Championship and snagged back-to-back league MVP awards in 2024 and 2025, proving that, no matter the continent, he was still the best player on the pitch. While the lion's share of his trophies obviously remain in Barcelona, his victories with Paris Saint-Germain, Inter Miami, and Argentina prove a really vital point. He didn't just thrive in one specific system. He could win on any stage, in any environment, adjusting to totally new teammates and different styles of play, all while constantly adding to his monumental trophy cabinet.
Actually, I want to point out this fascinating little nuance about that very trophy cabinet. When you're this successful, keeping count actually becomes a subject of debate. He's universally credited with an astonishing 46 official team titles. However, some sources calculate it at 48. They choose to include the 2005 Supercopa, where he wasn't actually in the matchday squad, and the 2025 MLS Eastern Conference title, which FIFA doesn't officially recognize as a standalone major trophy. But honestly, here's the main takeaway. Whether you count it as 46 or 48, he holds the absolute undisputed world record for the most decorated player in the history of professional football.
So, looking back at that boy from Rosario, the one who was told he was just too small to make it, is his legacy untouchable? Given his unbelievable metrics, amassing well over 1,320 career goal contributions and up to 48 career trophies, along with his crazy longevity and pure artistry on the pitch, will we ever see another phenomenon quite like Lionel Messi? It's a question that's going to echo through football history for generations. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring the incredible stories behind the numbers.